Hello, welcome to one of the many spiritual seminars on behalf of Spiritualism New Zealand. My name's Kim Chamberlain, and today we have with us Cathie Gianotti, who is currently living in North Shore in Auckland, New Zealand. And we're very pleased to have her here because she is going to explain to us about her spiritual journey. And I'm very looking forward to this. Thank you, Cathie, and welcome.
And hello to you all if you're listening. Okay. May take a little while to explain, but I think we should start at the beginning. I think even as a child, there was something more to life than living on this earth. However, any visitations, I didn't hear voices, nothing like that. But I was certainly interested as I got older. But up until 30 odd, life was very busy with, family and work, etc. And then in my 30s, I met somebody who had worked as a medium and been quite involved. And we used to have some very, very long discussions. I always have to question everything. I don't take anything as a matter of a fact because I need to understand it. So we spent many hours talking and discussing things, and her trying to explain things and me questioning things. Then when I was in my late 30s, we went overseas, and herself and another friend gave me 2 books, and they were 2 silver birch books. I read them, and I read them again. And half of it I didn't understand. Most of it didn't make sense. Some of it I thought, nah, don't agree with that at all. But I continued to read them off and on. Eventually, when we came back to New Zealand, again, life got very busy, and I didn't really do much. But when I was in my early 50s, my husband became ill and died a couple of years later, and one of my children were killed a year after that. I knew when my husband was ill that I needed to care for him, and I had an understanding that this was part of the arrangement. I knew when my son died that I was part of the arrangement as well, and that the last thing I could do for him was burying him. Although the grief was overwhelming, at the same time, I knew that it was time for them both to go. I didn't have any proof of this, but this was what I felt quite intensely. About 18 months later, I sold the house, moved to Lower Hutt, and from there I began to go regularly to the Petone Spiritualist Church. About the same time, I joined a circle outside of the church, and I think I went for about 6 months. And I can't get my timelines, the memory's a bit vague. But I eventually ended up going to a circle with spirit rings and also doing a circle at Petone Church. We had a weekend when 2 people came from the UK to hold workshops, Tony and Carol. Carol did Transfiguration. That workshop turned out to be an opening. Up until then, I had always felt that I could do this, but there was always a block. It was like there was just a big, a big concrete block stopping things from occurring. So I went to the workshop, and on the Saturday it was very good, and I found I could do a couple of things. Then that evening in Transfiguration, when we went, there were only about 30 people in the room. Carol came in. I don't know if you've seen, but she was completely covered. And there was no way that I'd seen the room set up. So the whole thing was perfectly genuine. Tony was there with the lights for her. Her face, when she does this, her face is completely different. And as those come through, her face changed. Initially, I think it was a lady, but eventually a face came through, and I thought that was my husband. And I thought, don't be stupid, of course it isn't. Then another face came, and I thought that was my son. And I thought, no, no, don't be stupid, Cathie, you're just dreaming. The friend I was with, I heard her say, that looks like Cathie's husband. And once she said that, I put my hand up. So I ended up going up and sitting with Carol. She held my hands. My husband was on one side, my son on the other. It was a surreal experience. I can't remember what we talked about. I can remember having an amazing sensation down my left side. And I can remember my son saying, if you're so happy to see us, why are you crying? That was a typical type of remark he would made, and that was pure confirmation for me. I had the confirmation because I could see their faces. That made a huge impression, as you can imagine. The following day, we broke into two groups, and I was in the group with Carol, and she told us to think of a word. The word that came to my mind was history. No idea why I had this word. And because I had no idea about anything really, when we stood up, I thought, I'll just say that. So I said history, and that was it. Spirit actually took over, and whatever I said just poured out. But it wasn't me who was saying it, I was just the voice. It was spirit. So from then on, and again, the timelines are a bit unusual. I can't remember whether I was doing the circle at church then or the one with spirit wings. I did both at the same time, just obviously in different weeks. And that meant that I could take my time learning about just about how the whole process goes and developing my own connection. I remember at one stage Barbara Hand saying that I would be on platform, to which I completely rubbished her. I never had any desire to be a medium. I never had any desire to work on platform. I just wanted to understand and to know what this was all about and to make some form of connection. So through doing those two circles, my connection with spirit grew and got stronger and stronger. Following Carol and Tony's visit, I also ended up doing trance work. The lovely Jane Stevens took it, and with another the Petone person, David Evans. We did it for about 2 years. The wonderful thing about this was learning and knowing how to go into trance. It was also trusting that what we were receiving was coming straight from spirit. And what always amazed me was that they never spoke at the same time. One of us would stop speaking and the other would start, but we never contradicted each other. We never interrupted each other because spirit were there and they were the ones who were doing the talking. We did record some, but unfortunately, although I still have them, I've never actually listened to them. So between the circles and doing the trance, my connection with spirit became good enough to go on platform. Terrifying for the first 6 months when I did it. Terrified I would get up there and nothing would happen. But it did. So with this, I learnt to trust spirit. Gradually, it got easier to do the platform work and it got easier to do readings. I've never really done a great deal with the readings. I do the platform. Often when the readings come, it is actually spirit and the spirit guides that come through. Initially, when I started working, I would spend quite a lot of time praying, I think is the right word, that spirit would come and there wouldn't be any problems and I wouldn't be standing up there with my mouth open and nothing to say. But as always, spirit never let me down. They were always there. When it came to doing the address, they would do the address and they still do. So for me, that spiritual part and doing that has meant that I have managed to have a very close, what I feel is a very close relationship with my guides. Now, I refer to the guides in the multiple, although I have one that is now frequently by my side and will pop words into my head every so often when I'm doing work. And I say guides because from where I am, we don't have to have just one guide. There are several guides now with you and with me, and those that are appropriate at the time for what is required at the time will come through. I learnt from Barbara that the one thing I didn't want to have brought through was to be told if someone was going to die or if something dreadful was going to happen. And in the beginning, I wrote out what I would not pass through. I have always carried that through. I have only had a couple of times when I have felt the information was not appropriate, and I've had to work around that. Because I believe we have a responsibility, and Spirit has a responsibility when we are talking to people. I never wanted, as I've said, to necessarily be a medium. So what I have learnt through my experience is trust and to allow Spirit to let us know what they require us as individuals to do. There are all sorts of areas for people to work in, lots of different ways for people to do this work. And if we allow Spirit to guide us, then I think we find that we can be very successful and very helpful for people. If we have an idea that we want to be this, or we want to be that, or we want to do this work or that work, from my experience and from what I've seen, it frequently doesn't work. People become frustrated because they can't get what they want. But Spirit is not about what you want. I see my relationship with Spirit as a partnership. My part of the partnership is to give them use of my voice and my body, I guess, in a vague kind of way. And they, in turn, are able to come through and give the advice or whatever it is needed for the people around or whoever being spoken to. That, to me, is a partnership. And it's a partnership that I have found works very well. I think when we are first doing this work, that it is easy to think that, or to put ourselves out and think that we want to be like somebody who is well known. But we are not all meant for that. I am very happy doing platform work with smaller numbers. I don't need to be on a big stage. There are other people that are better and more available to do that. I don't necessarily pass people over. I know that there are people there who are perfectly capable and they do a very good job, and I'm happy to leave them to do that. And the point of my telling you this is that if we allow, I believe, Spirit to guide us and to show us where they need us to be, then we can succeed in a partnership with them for the betterment of those around. We forget, I think, that Spirit will always be there. They will always answer. They will always tell us. However, it may not always be what we think we want, but it will always be what we need. Silver Birch, as I have read him off and on over the years, and even still read him, and I'm now, I hate to say it, 76, and this all started about in the late 40s, or way back then, long time ago. I have found, as I have developed and I have learnt more, that I can open and read a passage and suddenly I get that aha. It suddenly makes sense and I know what he was talking about. I definitely didn't know what he was talking about when I was early 40s. So, time, learning, getting to understand things, and getting to know things is really the way to go. The other thing is questioning. I definitely question. In fact, I can be quite irritating when I question. I don't accept things simply because somebody has said it is so. I have to understand it. And so I do definitely question, and I advise people to do that. If it doesn't sit right in your gut, don't keep it. If it does sit right, keep it. It doesn't matter what another person says. It only matters what you feel is right at that time. The brain is a wonderful organ, and obviously without it we don't function. But we have another part to ourselves, which I have learnt, and that is our spiritual self. We are not just a body. We are a body with spirit, but we are a body with a mind. We are a body with spirit as we bring through with us certain knowledge learned from past lives, and we are spirit that is still attached to spirit. Spirit is our home. Spirit is the place where we come from, so we will always have that attachment. So from this, I hope for those of you who are beginning on your journey that you will learn or take from this patience, learning, reading, questioning. Doesn't matter what you question, just question. And waiting. Spirit will show you what it is that you need to know and what it is and where you need to go. As you progress, you will hopefully learn to listen to your gut more than your brain, because you might be surprised with the outcomes. You will also discover how you progress and how you grow and how your thoughts change and how you change as a person. You don't lose your personality. You don't lose who you are. It doesn't mean you won't get angry at times or annoyed or fed up or pissed off or be happy or sad or whatever. You will still be that because this is who you are. But along with that will come more of the knowledge and more understanding, more acceptance of people and situations. It can be very hard in a rather distressed world at the moment to understand what is going on. For me, I don't have faith, I have trust. Faith for me always seems to be something that you believe regardless. But I can't do that and have never been able to do that. I have always had to understand what something is before I can accept it. So therefore, I prefer trust. I trust my guides. I trust in the knowledge that I have brought with me. I trust in my own thoughts. They're not always pleasant, but I do trust them. I trust in myself being here for a reason. I think I might have finished talking. Do you have any questions, Kim?
Well, that was very interesting, and I know you could spend a lot longer explaining your journey. I'm sure we've just scraped the surface here. What came out to me is three things here. I really like the concept of partnership with spirit. It's not I'm doing this and spirit are doing that. Which this is what we're doing together. I really like that concept. I like the concept of questioning, but also having the belief of trust, because being in the energy of trust is so much more powerful than being in the energy of doubt. And I do have a question. How do you actually connect to spirit?
Well, I've reached a stage that doing trance was really good. It really helped me understand and to know how to go into your inner self. For me, my inner self is sort of going like the area between the breasts is my inner self. So my connecting for that, I did this. And if I was going to do platform or do readings or something, I sat on the loo because the loo's the most private place in your household and you don't get interrupted. And then I would speak to the Great Spirit and just ask Great Spirit to be with me, ask for the guides to be with me, and envisage myself opening. So it was like a flask opening out, or a flower, but not quite a flower opening out, and sort of visualizing my spirit sort of going up and connecting. It's hard to explain because it's a sensation, and it's all quite wispy in its own way. And then, and what I would be doing would be really just asking Spirit, asking the guides, asking those, and I still do, who wish to speak if I'm on platform to somebody or talking to somebody, to come and to be there and to give clear audience or clear visual what is required. And then following that, and I'm not very good at this, but just closing myself down. However, now I actually, and my guide is with me now, I actually find that it's almost like we've become integrated. So
Wow.
I will still do it. I'm on platform on Sunday and I will still do it. And I'll be doing it all Sunday morning because I still have that little bit of will come. They've never let me down, ever, ever. But I think that's human nature. So, whoops, says my internet is unstable. Um,
A little bit,
so
yeah.
yes, so that's how I do that. Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a question that you can answer, but do you know how much of your life you're connected to spirit? Do you connect and disconnect?
No, I forget to disconnect. I'm not very good
You're just
now.
connected all the time.
Well, yes, because what I'm finding is that, um, often when I'm talking to people about something, I hear the guide say something.
Wow.
So I've been told I say okay, and I do. When I say okay, I'm talking to them. They're talking
Yes.
to me.
Yeah.
And I could be halfway through a sentence and I'll say, okay, fine, okay. Because then they want me to pass something on or to say something else about it. So that
Mm,
connection now for me has become, it's just here. It's every
mm,
day. But except for getting at park, I don't really use it for myself, if that makes sense. The
yes.
parking's really important though.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one of the frivolous things that I do.
Well,
But yes,
especially living in
because
Auckland.
yes, it is. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I need to park quite close to where I'm going. So it's quite
Mm,
important for me. Um, because, they are there. And as that develops, that, that as you become closer, and I guess that trust as well, then this will, where there is that sort of, do platforms when I am working. I always ask for the highest good,
mm,
for enjoyment, upliftment, for the highest good.
mm,
Um, because that is where I just need to ensure that what is coming through for the highest good for the person
mm.
and that there's no trivia coming through. I don't do any sort of predictive stuff.
No, I understand that. Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, sure. Internet is a bit unstable at the
yeah,
moment. Yeah.
I've got no problems with it. That's not who I am. That's so. And that's what I mean. I think that finding out what they need you to do, yours or mine, oh, it doesn't matter to them. You all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, you've frozen a
It's
little bit.
raining up here again, of course,
Oh,
so
maybe
that
that's
doesn't
got
help.
something to do
So,
with it.
yes, did that answer your question?
It did, thank you.
Oh,
Uh,
have I?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Sorry.
you've okay. I think you're back now, but I think it is a bit
Yeah.
unstable. So we might just finish here. But what I will
Okay.
do is,
Yeah, it
if
could
you're
be.
for people who are interested to find out a bit more, I will put Cathie's email address underneath the video if you would like to make contact with her. Are you still there?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
all right.
Cathie. Thank you
My
very much for
pleasure.
this. And I'll
It's all
I'll
right.
put your contact details below so people can make contact with you. Thank you so much for this.
Okay. My pleasure. I hope you can hear me. My pleasure. And anytime, always happy to answer questions.